The morning sun cast long shadows across the construction site of what would become the world's tallest building. Foreman Jessica Rodriguez stood at the 157th floor, watching her crew prepare for another day of pushing human engineering to its limits. The half-finished Torres summit would stretch over 3,000 feet into the Chicago skyline when completed. Assuming the strange lights she'd been seeing all week didn't complicate things. "Hey, boss." Tommy O'Neill's voice crackled over her radio. "You might want to check out what's happening at the North Crane." Jessica adjusted her hard hat and made her way across the maze of steel beams and concrete forms. The site's massive tower crane had stopped mid-swing, its operator, Peter Walsh, staring slack-jawed at something beyond the building's edge. As Jessica reached the crane's base, she saw it too. A sleek, metallic craft about the size of a city bus, hovering silently beside their construction site. "Nobody move," Jessica ordered into her radio, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Continue normal operations. Let's not give them any reason to think we've noticed them." The craft's surface rippled like mercury as a hatch materialized. 3 tall, insectoid figures emerged, their crystalline carapaces catching the morning light. They moved with an unsettling grace that suggested they weren't used to Earth's gravity. "Greetings, primitive builders," the tallest alien announced, its words translated by some unseen device. "I am Scout Commander Zixtol of the Hexapod Empire. Your species' attempt at vertical construction has drawn our attention. We are here to evaluate your civilization's potential." Jessica caught Peter's eye and gave him a subtle hand signal, one they used when maneuvering particularly delicate loads. He nodded almost imperceptibly. "Welcome to Earth," Jessica replied, taking a step forward. "I'm Jessica Rodriguez, site foreman for the Torres Summit project. Would you like a tour of our primitive construction methods?" The aliens chittered among themselves before Zixtol responded. "Your offer is accepted, though we doubt there is much to learn from such basic technology." As Jessica led them through the site, she kept up a running commentary about concrete mixing ratios and steel reinforcement patterns. Her crew, veterans of countless challenging builds, continued their work with practiced precision. But each of them was executing the contingency plan she was laying out through subtle hand signals and coded radio chatter. "This particular section," Jessica explained, guiding them onto a partially finished floor, "demonstrates our primitive understanding of load distribution." She gestured upward, drawing their attention to the ceiling. None of them noticed Tommy redirecting the concrete pump. "Fascinating," Zixtol commented with obvious condescension. "Though our structures are grown from living crystal, requiring no such crude methods off." The alien leader's lecture was cut short by the distinctive sound of a concrete pump activating. Before the aliens could react, 2 tons of fast-setting concrete mixture descended on their position. Their personal shields, designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles, did nothing to prevent the gray goop from seeping into their joints and crystalline appendages. "I should mention," Jessica said, watching the aliens struggle to move in the rapidly hardening concrete, "we humans have gotten pretty good at thinking on our feet. Peter, how about giving our guests a lift?" The tower crane swung into action, its massive hook dropping down beside the trapped aliens. A specially prepared cargo net, weighted with steel beams, swept them off their feet. Their anti-gravity technology, hampered by the concrete, sputtered uselessly. "Your primitive tactics cannot," Zixtol began, but stopped as they were hoisted into the air, dangling 1,500 feet above Chicago's streets. "Here's the deal," Jessica announced, keying her radio so all frequencies could hear. "Your ship is currently being contained in one of our foundation forms. We're ready to pour another 100 cubic yards of concrete if needed. So perhaps we should discuss this evaluation of yours more constructively." The aliens' chittering took on a distinctly worried tone as they watched the humans continue working with calm efficiency. Behind them, their scout ship was indeed being quickly enclosed in modular foundation forms, the same type used to create the skyscraper's massive base. "We may have underestimated your species' capabilities," Six-Tall admitted, concrete cracking from their mandibles as they spoke. "That happens a lot," Jessica replied with a smile. "Now, would you like to discuss this situation like reasonable beings, or should I ask my crew to demonstrate more of our primitive construction techniques?" As the morning sun climbed higher, casting shorter shadows across the Taurus summit site, humans and aliens began a very different kind of first contact negotiation, one where the terms would be set not by advanced technology, but by good old-fashioned human ingenuity and several thousand pounds of quick-setting concrete. News of the Chicago incident spread through construction networks faster than any official channels could track. Within hours, construction sites worldwide began their quiet preparations. The aliens might have advanced technology, but humanity had something just as valuable. Thousands of job sites with equipment, materials, and crews who solved impossible problems every day. At the United Nations emergency session, Jessica Rodriguez stood before world leaders, her hard hat tucked under her arm. "The hexapods aren't backing down," she explained, pointing to satellite imagery of approaching alien ships. "But they've given us 72 hours before their main fleet arrives." Scout Commander Six-Tall's experience with our methods has them proceeding more cautiously. In Dubai, crane operator Fatima Al-Hassan watched her crew modify their equipment with grim determination. They transformed their tower cranes into makeshift defensive platforms, each boom weighted with concrete counterweights that could be precisely dropped from enormous heights. The physics were simple. In Earth's gravity, even alien shields couldn't ignore kinetic energy. Testing the new reinforcement on Bay 3, she called out, watching as her team stress-tested their improvised innovations. The whole construction site had become a fortress, with cement mixers repurposed into deployment systems for quick hardening foam that could immobilize alien ground forces. Across the Pacific, in Tokyo, master welder Kenji Tanaka led a team converting excavators into mobile defense platforms. "The hydraulic systems are our advantage," he explained to military observers. "Simple, reliable, and incredibly powerful. Even their energy weapons can't easily cut through a reinforced bucket loaded with concrete." The hexapods' first probing attacks came early, testing Earth's traditional military defenses. What they didn't expect was to find every construction site, from the smallest house foundation to the largest infrastructure project, ready for them. In Sydney, they discovered their ground forces trapped in rapidly expanding spray foam originally designed for insulation. In Rio de Janeiro, alien scouts found their anti-gravity systems failing after being caught in clouds of specially modified concrete dust that played havoc with their field generators. At a massive bridge project in Vancouver, Foreman William "Bill" Mackenzie watched with satisfaction as his crew demonstrated their latest innovation. "See, the thing about construction workers," he explained to the military attaché observing their preparations, "is we spend all day, every day, figuring out how to move really heavy things without breaking them. Now we're just figuring out how to break really advanced things by moving heavy stuff at them." The aliens' tactical networks buzzed with confusion. Their sensors, designed to detect energy weapons and advanced technology, struggled to track the threats posed by what seemed to be primitive machinery. A hexapod commander lost an entire squad when they dismissed a concrete pump as primitive fluid distribution technology, right before it filled their position with rapidly expanding cement-based foam. Back in Chicago, Jessica coordinated with other site managers worldwide. The Taurus summit had become an unofficial headquarters, its half-finished floors converted into a command center. The aliens' own arrogance had given humanity an advantage. They'd dismissed construction sites as unimportant civilian infrastructure, not realizing each one was becoming a fortress. "They're still not taking us seriously enough," Jessica noted, reviewing reports from around the globe. "Every time they encounter our primitive defenses, they have to recalibrate their entire approach. They're fighting the last war, the one with advanced energy weapons and shield technology. We're fighting this one with whatever we can build, weld, or pour." In London, a construction crew led by veteran forewoman Rachel Bennett had turned their site into a demonstration of just how dangerous primitive technology could be. "It's all about using the right tool for the job," she explained to her crew as they fortified their position. "And sometimes the right tool is a wrecking ball with some creative modifications." The hexapods learned this lesson the hard way when they attempted to establish a beachhead near the Thames. Their advanced shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, proved remarkably ineffective against several tons of steel and concrete swinging from modified crane systems. The aliens' after-action report would later note with confusion that their defeat had come at the hands of archaic kinetic energy distribution systems. As the deadline approached, humanity's construction workers had transformed their planet's urban centers into a defense network unlike anything the hexapods had encountered in their long history of planetary conquest. Every crane became a potential weapon platform, every concrete pump a means of immobilizing alien forces, every excavator a mobile defense unit. "The thing they don't understand," Jessica explained to a gathering of global defense coordinators, "is that construction isn't about building things. It's about solving problems. Every day, we face challenges that need creative solutions. Now we've just got a bigger problem to solve." The hexapods' main fleet would arrive soon, but they would find a very different Earth than their scouts had reported. Humanity had taken its expertise in building things and turned it toward a new purpose, defending their world with the tools they knew best. As the final hours ticked down, construction crews worldwide stood ready, their primitive equipment primed to teach the aliens another lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. The hexapod main fleet arrived exactly on schedule, their massive ships darkening skies worldwide. But Earth's construction crews had spent those 72 hours well, transforming every major building site into a fortified position. The aliens were about to learn why humans had survived countless disasters throughout history. Adaptability. Fleet Commander Nixfor watched the tactical displays with growing concern. "These readings cannot be correct." They chittered to their staff. "The humans have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum deterrents. How are they mounting such an effective defense?" The answer came moments later when their first wave of landing craft approached New York City. The humans had transformed Ground Zero's reconstruction site into an integrated defense network. Construction cranes moved with precision, their giant counterweights swinging in coordinated patterns that created a no-fly zone for alien ships. "Remember," radioed Marcus Johnson, the site's veteran crane operator, "just like threading a needle. Time those swings like we practiced." His crew had spent decades mastering the delicate art of moving massive loads through tight urban spaces. Now they applied that expertise to keeping alien ships at bay. In Shanghai, the situation proved even more bewildering for the invaders. Master builder Lai Wei had coordinated with hundreds of sites across the city, creating a web of mobile defensive positions. Concrete pumps had been modified to spray fast-hardening foam that could ground alien aircraft. Excavators moved with surprising agility, their reinforced buckets serving as both shields and weapons. "They expect us to fight like soldiers," Lai Wei observed, watching her crews work with practiced efficiency. "But we fight like builders. Every problem has a solution. You just need the right tools and the right approach." The hexapods' ground forces faced similar challenges. In Berlin, they encountered construction sites where every piece of equipment had been repurposed for defense. Steamrollers became mobile barriers, their massive weight and simple mechanics nearly impossible to disable with energy weapons. Foundation drilling rigs had been converted into devices that could destabilize the ground under alien positions. Isabella Müller, coordinating the Berlin defense from a half-finished office tower, smiled as she watched another alien squad retreat from a barrage of concrete chunks precisely delivered by modified demolition equipment. "The trick," she explained to military observers, "is understanding that simple doesn't mean primitive. Sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective." Back in Chicago, Jessica Rodriguez had transformed the Torres Summit project into a vertical defense platform. Each floor presented new challenges for the invaders, carefully planned obstacles that used construction materials in ways their designers had never intended. They're learning, she noted, watching alien ships adjust their tactics. But so are we. Her crews had discovered that the alien shield technology, while effective against energy weapons, struggled with certain frequencies of vibration from their pile drivers. Every construction site now pulsed with rhythmic impacts that played havoc with alien systems. The hexapod's command structure struggled to adapt. Their military doctrine, built around confronting civilizations with similar technology, proved inadequate against humans' unconventional methods. Construction workers worldwide had turned their deep understanding of materials, physics, and problem-solving into a defense strategy unlike anything the aliens had encountered. In Mumbai, Foreman Raj Patel directed his crews in fortifying the city's massive infrastructure projects. They discovered that reinforced concrete, when properly formulated, could resist alien energy weapons better than expected. Every mixing plant in the city now produced specialized concrete blends, turning construction sites into hardened bunkers. It's all about understanding your materials, Raj explained as his team modified another batch of concrete. We've spent generations learning how to make things stand up under impossible conditions. Now we're just applying that knowledge differently. The aliens' frustration grew as their advanced technology repeatedly failed against what they considered primitive countermeasures. Their ships, designed to withstand energy weapons, proved vulnerable to simple kinetic impacts from construction equipment. Their ground forces, expecting to face military resistance, instead found themselves outmaneuvered by crews operating machinery they used daily for years. Fleet Commander Nixfor's reports to the Hexapod High Command became increasingly desperate. The humans' resistance defies conventional military analysis. They transmitted, they are not fighting according to any known doctrine. Each construction site operates independently yet coordinates perfectly. Their methods appear crude, but demonstrate deep understanding of physical principles we've overlooked. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, humanity's construction workers had proven themselves humanity's most effective defenders. They'd turned their skills at building things into an art of resistance, using their intimate knowledge of Earth's gravity, materials, and machinery to counter alien technology. You know what their biggest mistake was? Jessica asked during a global coordination meeting. They thought because we build things, we don't know how to break them. But every builder knows that understanding how things come apart is just as important as knowing how to put them together. The hexapods would soon learn another lesson about human ingenuity. This was just the beginning. Earth's construction crews weren't just defending. They were adapting, innovating, and preparing to take the fight to the invaders. After all, if there's one thing construction workers know how to do, it's how to overcome obstacles, no matter how alien they might be. The tide began to turn on day 3 of the invasion. Construction crews worldwide had moved from defense to offense, applying their expertise in ways that left the hexapods reeling. The aliens were about to learn why you don't underestimate people who solve impossible problems for a living. In Dubai, Fatima Al-Hassan's team had perfected their counterattack strategy. "Look at their ships," she explained to her crew, pointing at the alien vessels hovering above the city. "They're designed for space, not atmosphere. They rely on anti-gravity tech, not aerodynamics." "And what do we know about gravity?" Her crew grinned. They'd spent years building the world's tallest structures, intimately understanding how gravity affected everything they did. Now they used that knowledge against the invaders. Modified concrete pumps shot specially formulated mixtures into the aliens' anti-gravity field generators, the dense particles disrupting their carefully calibrated systems. "It's like pouring concrete at height," Fatima called out as another alien ship struggled to maintain position. "You have to account for every variable." They never considered someone would use construction materials as weapons. Across the Pacific, in San Francisco, demolition expert James Wilson had transformed the city's earthquake retrofitting projects into offensive platforms. Resonance, He explained to his team as they calibrated their equipment. Everything has a natural frequency, even alien technology. Their modified pile drivers sent precisely calculated vibrations through the ground, creating waves that interfered with alien shield harmonics. The hexapod's advanced protection systems, designed to stop energy weapons and projectiles, proved vulnerable to something as basic as synchronized vibration. In Moscow, veteran site manager Natasha Petrova coordinated a massive counteroffensive using tunnel boring machines. "Underground is our territory," she declared, watching as her crews used the massive machines to undermine alien ground positions. They watch the skies, but they forget what's beneath their feet. The hexapod's command structure was falling into disarray. Fleet Commander Nixfor's reports became increasingly frantic. The humans are not following any known combat protocols. They adapt faster than our tactical systems can analyze. Every defeat teaches them new ways to use their primitive technology against us. Back in Chicago, Jessica Rodriguez had turned the Torres Summit project into a command center for global operations. Construction crews worldwide shared innovations through their existing networks, each site improving on others' discoveries. The aliens' technological advantage meant little against humanity's collective problem-solving ability. "See, that's their weakness," Jessica explained during an emergency briefing. "They think technology solves everything. But we know different. Sometimes you need a wrench and elbow grease. Sometimes you need 10,000 tons of concrete placed just right. It's about using the right tool for the job." The counteroffensive reached its peak when construction crews in Sydney, led by veteran foreman Jack Thompson, unveiled their latest innovation. They'd modified their tunnel boring machines into devices that could disrupt the aliens' subspace communications. The hexapod's coordinated fleet operations began to break down as their ships lost contact with each other. "It's all about understanding wave propagation," Jack explained, watching alien ships scatter in confusion. "Whether you're boring through bedrock or disrupting alien communications, the principles are the same. You just need to think creatively." In Rio de Janeiro, crane operator Maria Santos coordinated a daring attack on the aliens' main command ship. Her team had spent decades managing complex lifts in tight urban spaces. Now they used that expertise to maneuver massive counterweights through gaps in the alien defenses. "Precision," Maria reminded her crew as they worked, "just like threading a steel beam through a crowded site. The fact that we're aiming for alien shield generators doesn't change the basics." The hexapod's technological superiority began to crumble in the face of humanity's unconventional tactics. Their ships, designed for the cold equations of space combat, proved vulnerable to the practical physics of construction work. Their ground forces, expecting to face military resistance, found themselves outmaneuvered by crews who spent their lives moving heavy equipment through impossible spaces. Fleet Commander Nixfor watched in horror as their invasion force was systematically dismantled by what their initial surveys had dismissed as primitive industrial equipment. "How?" they demanded of their tactical officers. "How are they defeating our advanced technology with these simple machines?" The answer came from an unexpected source, a captured transmission between construction sites. "Because we build things." Jessica's voice crackled through their communication system. "Every day, we take plans and turn them into reality. We solve problems you can't solve with just technology. We understand how things work at the most basic level and how to make them stop working." As the fourth day of the invasion dawned, the hexapods faced an uncomfortable reality. Their superior technology, their advanced shields, their anti-gravity systems, all were being countered by humans using simple machines in ingenious ways. The construction crews of Earth had turned their everyday tools into weapons, their practical knowledge into tactical advantages. "You know what they never understood?" Jessica asked during a global coordination meeting. "Construction isn't just about building things. It's about understanding how everything works together. Forces, materials, timing. And once you understand how something works, you understand how to break it." Her crews finished in unison, watching as another alien ship succumbed to their coordinated attack. The hexapods were learning a harsh lesson about human ingenuity. Sometimes the most effective weapon isn't the most advanced. It's the one wielded by someone who truly understands how to use it. On the seventh day of what would become known as the Construction War, Fleet Commander Nixvor requested a meeting. The location they chose was symbolic, the Torres Summit project in Chicago, where humanity's construction crews had first demonstrated their unexpected capabilities. Jessica Rodriguez stood on the 157th floor, watching the alien commander's shuttle approach. The massive structure, still under construction, now bore the marks of battle, but remained standing, a testament to human engineering and determination. "Your species has proven remarkable," Nixvor admitted, their crystalline carapace reflecting the morning sun. "We have encountered many civilizations, but none who could turn building equipment into such effective defensive and offensive systems." "That's because you were looking at the wrong things," Jessica replied, gesturing to the construction site around them. "You saw our technology level and assumed we were primitive. But civilization isn't just about technology. It's about understanding how things work and solving problems." The peace negotiations that followed were unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of diplomats in formal chambers, it was construction workers and alien engineers meeting on job sites, sharing knowledge and perspectives. In Dubai, Fatima Al-Hassan hosted a delegation of hexapod scientists, explaining how her crews had adapted concrete pumping systems to counter alien shield technology. "It's all about working with gravity, not against it," she explained, watching the aliens' crystalline appendages twitch with interest as they studied the modified equipment. The hexapods were particularly fascinated by humanity's ability to work within Earth's heavy gravity. Their own civilization had evolved on a lower gravity world, leading them to rely on anti-gravity technology rather than developing the practical engineering skills humans took for granted. "Your species has achieved remarkable things without advanced technology," a hexapod engineer chittered, examining a tower crane. "We never considered that operating such equipment in your gravity could lead to such innovative applications." In Tokyo, Kenji Tanaka worked with alien technicians to combine their crystal-growing technology with human construction methods. "Think of it as adding new tools to our toolbox," he explained, watching as a hybrid structure took shape, merging alien crystals with traditional steel and concrete. The collaboration revealed surprising synergies. Human practical experience with materials and forces complemented the hexapod's advanced technology. Construction sites worldwide became centers of innovation, where both species learned from each other. "You know what we realized," Rachel Bennett explained during a joint human-alien construction project in London. They'd gotten so focused on advancing their technology, they'd forgotten some of the basics. Sometimes the simple solution is the best one. The Hexapod High Command, initially skeptical of peaceful cooperation with a primitive species, couldn't argue with the results. Hybrid construction techniques were achieving things neither civilization could accomplish alone. Human ingenuity combined with alien technology was opening new possibilities in engineering and architecture. Back in Chicago, the Torres Summit project became a symbol of this new collaboration. The upper floors incorporated hexapod crystal technology, while the core remained a testament to traditional human engineering. It would stand as the first of many structures that combined the best of both worlds. "The funny thing is," Jessica remarked to Nixvor as they surveyed the progress, "if you just landed and asked to learn from each other in the first place, we could have avoided all the fighting." The alien commander's crystalline structures pulsed with what humans had learned to recognize as amusement. "Perhaps that is the greatest lesson we've learned from your species. True advancement comes not from technology alone, but from understanding the fundamental principles of how things work." As construction crews worldwide began working alongside alien engineers, humanity's role in the galactic community evolved. Earth became known not for its technology level, but for its practical innovation and problem-solving abilities. Construction techniques developed on Earth were adapted for use on worlds throughout the galaxy. The hexapods updated their first contact protocols, adding a new section. Special attention must be paid to species who have developed practical engineering skills under high-gravity conditions. Technological advancement alone is not an accurate measure of civilization's capabilities or potential. 1 year after the failed invasion, Jessica stood at the top of the completed Taurus summit, now the tallest structure on Earth. Beside her, Nix 4 observed the sunset reflecting off the building's hybrid crystal and steel facade. "You know what the real difference was?" Jessica asked, adjusting her hard hat, still a required safety measure even with alien technology. "You came here thinking you needed to teach us. Instead, we all learned from each other." The alien commander's translator conveyed agreement. "Indeed. Though I must admit, we are still somewhat concerned about how quickly your species can adapt construction equipment into defensive systems." Jessica laughed. "Don't worry. We're much better at building things than breaking them. Speaking of which, want to see the plans for our first off-world construction project?" As they reviewed the blueprints for humanity's first extraterrestrial building site, both human and alien knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was full of things to build, problems to solve, and new heights to reach, together. The construction war had ended, but humanity's greatest construction project was just beginning, building bridges between civilizations, one innovation at a time.